Welcome to another episode of High Stakes with Steve Rozenberg. I am Steve Rozenberg, as I'm sure everyone knows. But this show is where we talk about real life, real business, and more importantly, real situations. Now, the guests I have on today, if I had to define someone, I would say they're probably a serial entrepreneur. I'm curious what his opinion is of himself, but being an entrepreneur myself, I know that, yes, there's a lot of accolades. There's a lot of successes. There's a lot of attaboys and pats on the backs, but there's also a lot of, I would say, at least in my opinion, and maybe I've done this wrong, I don't know, but there's a lot of sleepless nights. There's a lot of nights of wondering and questioning if what you're doing is even right, if it even matters, and if at the end of all of this, it's going to actually lead to something of memories, happiness, success, whatever that is, money, however you want to quantify that. But I would say, in my opinion, I'm curious, I'd like to hear Dave's opinion, but I think as entrepreneurs, I don't think we're on a destination type lifestyle. I think we are on an expedition and a journey type lifestyle, because I look at us as entrepreneurs very much like sharks in the ocean. They don't go to a destination. They're constantly swimming, and it's the journey. Basically, from the time they are born to the time they die, they are constantly on a journey. And I feel, at least in my opinion, as an entrepreneur, that is very much how we live. And I think that's how everyone lives. Some people just settle for, shelves that they want to sit on. So my guest, David Mammano, is on today, very famous, very well known. And I got him locked in his car, so he can't go anywhere today. So Dave, thank you so much for taking time, my man.
Steve, thanks for the intro. I appreciate it. Yeah, I'm traveling today, doing some road warrior calls. But I know that I think you had to reschedule once. I had to reschedule once. I'm like, I am not rescheduling. We're going to make this happen from my car. And actually, my radio friends tell me that the car is a great soundproof studio anyway. So hopefully the audio is great. And I know that we're going to be fantastic.
That's awesome. So Dave, just give everybody a quick synopsis overview of who you are and your life as of today.
Sure. Well, I love that you called us sharks, because it is funny. I am a serial entrepreneur, I guess. I do start something new. It seems like every 3 to 5 years. And I tell people that I need to put new water through my gills every now and then. And so I kind of feel like I'm some version of a shark, right? A nice shark, but peace, love, but let's make money shark, right? So, yes. But yeah, so I was that typical kid, probably like you, who, very young age was coming up with ways to make money. I was that typical kid that had the lemonade stand. But to be truthful, I said, my God, so many other people are doing lemonade stands. I'm going to do an iced tea stand. And so I had an iced tea stand instead. And then, I had the paper route when, there used to be paper boys. Yeah. I washed cars. I cut lawns. I was a Boy Scout. I used to sell stuff door to door all the time. Like, I was always hustling, right? Always trying to make money. I remember at age 12, and so I'm a child of the 80s, right? Age 12, I saved up $1,000 in my bank account. And my dad said, hey, you should put that in a CD. You get 12%. So you remember the early 80s, right? Yeah. So, now what do you get, 1%? But so always trying to, come up with, creating value and making some money off it. So I guess, definitely was a lifelong entrepreneur from the start. Out of college, I did get a job for 3 years. I was a radio salesman. I had sold advertising for the college newspaper. I thought, well, let me go to radio and then TV. This is before the internet took off. I graduated college in 91. And let me sell ads. I've done print. Let me do radio, and then let me do TV. Got into radio for 3 years and liked it, but didn't love it. I didn't feel like I was, nearly reaching my potential. And I thought there was so much more. And then I really started thinking I like my boss, but I hate having a boss. I like my company, but I hate being in a company. It was really like this innate feeling of being caged. And I said, well, I think I just need to do my own thing, get back to my, roots of being an entrepreneur from a young kid. So then I started thinking about what could that be? What business would I start? And so I'm 25 at this time. And I thought about what are my hobbies, values, activities? What are things I like doing anyway? And how can I convert that into a business? Well, all my volunteer activities were helping youth with their future, right? I was a big brother in the Big Brother, Big Sister program. I did stuff with junior achievement. I was a volunteer camp counselor at this camp here in upstate New York called Camp Good Days and Special Times, which was a camp for kids with cancer. So I'm like, well, I obviously love helping young people with their future. And then, I really missed print. So this is, mid 90s, print was still viable. I loved running the college newspaper. I sold ads and then I ran the ad department. So I had this idea to start a printed magazine for high school students and help them with college planning, career planning, and life skills. So while they're in high school, giving them advice about how to, start planning for life after high school. I love the idea. I'm like, oh my God, because I did like to write as well. I could sell ads. I go, this is what I'll do. I'm 25, I'm single. So I quit my real job at the radio station and started a magazine. It's called Next Step Magazine. We later changed the name to Next Step U, the letter U, but it was Next Step Magazine. And the whole mission, like I said, college, career, and life planning. The business model was, I'm here in Rochester, New York, upstate New York, and we gave free magazines to all the high schools in our area, in our county, the 5-county area, really. And we gave about 200-300 magazines to every high school for their juniors and seniors. It was free. And the way we made our revenue was we sold ads, mostly to colleges that wanted to recruit those students. We sold ads to some banks for student loans, the military, all that great stuff. And so we made a profit by the 3rd issue. And I got really excited. So, any entrepreneurial goal that you reach, you celebrate for about a day or two, pop the champagne, and then you're like, what's next, right? More water through the gills. Yeah. So we ended up expanding the magazine to our 2 neighboring cities, which are Buffalo and Syracuse, made a bigger profit. So, of course, then I went all New York State. So now, year 2.5, we're in all of New York State and doing well. I get to quit. I had 2 night jobs as a waiter to support my my life until the magazine took off. I got to quit those jobs because the magazine was taken off. But then you want more. So then I said, I want to expand this nationwide. Let me help high school students all over the country. And so what I ended up doing, because it was kind of regional. We mostly from a revenue perspective, most colleges recruit and advertise and market pretty close to their region. Like colleges in Rochester, New York, are doing too much marketing in Las Vegas, right? So I decided to franchise the magazine into different states and regions around the country so they could have a local flavor, local ads. And that's what we did. It took us about 2 years and we franchised every state. We were in every region, every state in the whole country. We ended up being in about 20,000 high schools 5 times a year with the magazine. It was super, super fantastic. Multi-million-dollar business we created. We were an Inc. 5,000 company 3 years in a row, top 100 Rochester company, all that great stuff, all the accolades. I'm sitting here thinking like, my poop doesn't stink, right? Like I could do anything, right? Midas touch. And that, that's, of course, God has a way of handing your ass to you when you start thinking like that. And he did, the digital revolution hit. And of course, print started dying. And you amplify the speed of that when you're dealing with teenagers. They were the first people to look at their phones all day long. So the revenue really, it was about 3 years. It just started like severely declining, and my advertisers were great. They were very nice people. They were like, David, we love you. We love Next Step. We just don't want your print anymore. Give us your digital products. So we did. We hustled. We created a lot of digital products. But the problem was it wasn't the same amount of revenue. And so we ended up having to put, the magazine online. I convinced all my franchises to put it on the online, and then it became a very kind of transactional business, cost per lead type of business, which didn't really excite me. So I sold it. So it's about a 20-year run. 2016, I sold it, and then I started a company called Avanti. Now Avanti means move forward in Italian, so kind of like next step, right? And Avanti turned out, I started as a coaching company to help entrepreneurs start and grow businesses. I started a weekly podcast back in 2016 for entrepreneurs like you. And then I started doing monthly events for entrepreneurs, kind of meetups in Rochester after work, one night a week or one night a month, where we'd get together, country clubs, businesses that had the space, restaurants, whatever. And the first half was beer, wine, hors d'oeuvres, connecting, networking. And then the second half, I'd bring in the speaker to teach, everybody about something. So people were paying an annual membership fee for this great service. We got about 100 members, and then I developed a model to expand it, license it to different cities. So we got it going in Buffalo, Toronto, Burlington, Vermont, New York City, and New Jersey. And then the pandemic hit. So now I'm disrupted again, first by the digital revolution, now by a pandemic. We go online, of course, but it's not the same. People really joined Avanti to meet people face to face, to do business together, network, connect. So people stopped showing up on the Zooms as much. So I really put it on hold, and I kept, coaching and consulting to get through COVID. But now we're coming out of COVID. I'm doing two things. This is a very long answer to your question. I apologize, but I'm covering from 1995 until today.
It's a lot.
Yeah. But so as we're coming out of COVID, God willing, as I do the sign of the cross here, once and for all, I've relaunched my networking group, but it's global and it's online because I don't want to be disrupted by another pandemic. Sure. And I changed the name. I rebranded. It's called Youtopia. It's a YOU, Youtopia Network, utopianetwork.com. And what we're doing is we're doing kind of what I was doing with Avanti, but on a global level. So once a week, every Tuesday at noon Eastern, we all get on the Zoom call and I bring in a really great speaker. And I've had some amazing speakers, some famous ones and just very impactful. So it's interactive. There's Q&A, the whole works. So that's weekly training call for all the members, monthly masterminds. We're creating a connection to almost like a match.com, but for business owners and not dating, but for business needs. I may say, hey, Steve wants to franchise his business. You can put it in the algorithm. People in the network come up and say, oh, I know how to franchise. I can help you. That's an example. So it's connections and learning. So that's one thing I'm doing, Youtopia Network. Once again, annual membership fee. The second thing I'm doing is I'm starting a daily newscast for entrepreneurs. When I was in college, I wanted to be a newscaster for a while. I did an internship at NBC. And I ended up wanting more to get into sales, but I've always, I'm a speaker. I do stand-up comedy on the side. I love that stuff. So I'm gonna create a daily show Monday through Friday, a news show for entrepreneurs. So if you can imagine like nightly news with Peter Jennings, whoever the newscaster, I don't watch the news anymore, but whoever the newscasters are today, it's going to be me, but reporting on great news for entrepreneurs. And the show is called Entrepreneurs, and so we're putting that together. I just put together a promo that I could send you, but we're reaching out to people to be guests and sponsors and all that stuff. But we're going to start that in about a month. That's the goal. Monday through Friday, every at 2:00 every Monday through Friday, half-hour show, and we'll connect people. Be current events. We'll interview people. Someone that just wrote a great book for entrepreneurs. We'll interview that person. We'll I'll have people being interviewed that are social entrepreneurs, student entrepreneurs. It's going to be a really great show, a news show for entrepreneurs. So that's what I'm doing today.
Wow. Well, one theme that I noticed as you were talking, I was trying to, I'm a big believer in connecting dots and trying to see a theme or a thread with people. And I'd like to get your opinion. I think a lot of entrepreneurs fail, and we know a lot of them fail. There's a lot of dead bodies on this road of entrepreneurship. I believe a lot of entrepreneurs fail because they think they have to be the only one that can do something. Meaning, no one can do it better than me. Let me put my cape on and let me run down and fix everything. It sounds like what you've done, and correct me if I'm wrong, is you're utilizing the leverage of whether it was print or now social media or online versions. And it sounds like you are focusing on leveraging tools and maybe leveraging people of franchising systems. And that was the common thread that I kind of heard in that. Is that something that you have always done? Is that something you had to learn? Because I think that is a big reason that a lot of people never get past maybe their first office or even their first, phase of life as an entrepreneur, because they don't realize that it takes a team and it's not a single sport. How did you get through that?
Yeah. So, I knew nothing about franchising or licensing or expansion when I started. My goal, in the beginning in 1995 was just to create a really great magazine for Rochester, New York high school students. And then I realized I wanted more. That's why we expanded. And then I wanted more. And then I wanted more. Now, that's not everybody. Some people will start a local insurance firm. They'll make, 150 grand a year, and they'll be happy as a clam. And great. That's awesome. They get to go home at 5 o'clock, be with the family, maybe have a cottage, travel, make a nice living. Awesome. For some reason, that's not me. Some days I wish it was me, right? Like, stop the insanity, but for me, I'm like, I don't know what it is, but I have this burning desire to just take something as far as I can, nationwide, global. And I don't know why. I mean, I'm sure it's ego, and I don't really have this massive desire to be loved personally all over the world. But I think it's more of a game for me. Like, how far can I take this? Mm-hmm. How many people can I impact? Right. And how many people can I help? And it's more like, entrepreneurship is a game. Right. And how far can I take my winnings, I guess. Right. So that's really what it is for me. Why just do it in Rochester? Why just do it in New York? Why just do it in the US? If I am able to bring it to other places. I'm a big believer in maximizing your God-given gifts and talents. I think you're supposed to max those out. Right. Ed Milet, who you probably know, he talks about on his show that he has a vision of when he dies and goes to heaven, God pulls out an iPhone and says, well, here's who you could have been if you maxed out your life, and Ed's like worst fear is that like he's not that person. Right. Like, he didn't max out all those things. And his biggest dream is like, wow, I'm the same person, and that really impacted me when he said that. He said on my podcast a couple of years ago, and I was like, wow, that is so true. That I want to, when I meet my maker, I want to be like, awesome. I'm seeing who I could have been, and I'm the same guy. So that's very important to me.
Well, I think too is, and from my own personal perspective, is when I started as an entrepreneur and a speaker and all those things, a lot of it was validation for me as an entrepreneur. Like, okay, I can stand on these same stages as these other people. I am, the Ed Milets and, Brad Lees and other people that I've gotten to know. And I just wanted for my own personal, like, what, I'm not better than them, but I'm just as good as these guys. Now they have a different resume than I have, but I'm thinking to myself, I want to make sure that I can actually tell myself I can stand on the same stage and speak with those guys. So that was the first thing. Second thing, as you said, and I was trained, a gentleman, Marshall Silver, was one of my coaches. And he used to always tell me, he said, Steve, if you have a gift and you can help people and you believe in it, he said, it's your obligation to show people and convince people that they need what you offer. He said, because if you don't, do you really believe in what you're doing? He said, and if you don't, then you're unethical and you shouldn't be doing it at all. And so, some people talk about salespeople and they go, oh, sales, I don't like salespeople. It's like, well, if I was selling your kid to get off drugs, would that be okay? Oh, yeah, that'd be fine. Okay, so it's just the topic that I'm selling, not the fact that I'm actually doing the object of getting someone to do something, and if you believe in it and you are ethical and you are a moral person, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. So I agree with what you said. I think helping people, I would say, and I've talked to a lot of entrepreneurs, I think that becomes almost a second phase in our lives. I think after we get our success and financially we're okay and we're able to survive and we've got all of our needs, primal needs covered, I think what happens is we go into that second phase and saying, okay, number one, it is a great way of duplication. Financially, it's very sound to do. But I think also it's a little bit of giving back, I think, as entrepreneurs, because you kind of go, well, I got all this shit in my head. Like, who do I give it to? Like, nobody at the gas station cares about what, like coaching them. But, I think it's good, to me at least, I'll just tell you my own perspective, is it feels good to help other people see that light bulb go off. And they're like, man, I never thought of that. And you're like, okay, good. I'm glad I'm helping someone. At least that's my take on it.
Yeah, no, I love that. And that's such a good feeling. I'll do some quick, like 1-2 minute videos every now and then on Facebook and LinkedIn. I call them Mammano Minutes. And something will pop in my head that is inspired me and I want to share it. And so, yeah, I just put one out on Monday, so a few days ago. And someone texted me later that day, and she goes, that she was about to walk into this event, and she was feeling like out of her league, feeling like an imposter. But then she just stumbled upon my video about a half hour before. And she goes, I totally changed her mindset. And instead she walked in that she was going to own that meeting, And that the fact that she told me that, and that I affected her that way with the 2-minute video. It was like, it's like a total, it's my drug of choice, if you will. I love hearing that stuff, that I got to affect one person really in a great way.
So if you don't mind, I'd like to stay on that imposter syndrome thing, because I think a lot of entrepreneurs, I think all of us have had it at some level and still do. And I think I don't think it's bad. I think it's a matter of pushing yourself to, if you're not pushing yourself to that uncomfortable zone, well, you're probably not pushing yourself to your potential. But why do people fail in that imposter zone? Do they, in your opinion, as entrepreneurs, you work with entrepreneurs, you've done a lot, do they fail because they let that dark side kind of take over them, and the negative thoughts take over their brain, and they're like, yeah, you're right, I can't do it? Or why do you see them fail?
Yeah, they end up listening to that voice in their head that says that, they're not good enough. And then that instigates fear and anxiety. And then you start to spiral down, right? Like, you start believing all this stuff and here is the most important thing about it. It is not real. You are inventing this. Fear is not real. It's an invented thing that you don't have to listen to. That if you're skilled enough with your thoughts and feelings, like, you can get rid of it. It is not real. It's something that you invent, and it may go back to the fight or flight from caveman days, but we don't need that anymore with most things, right? We don't need that. Like, you need fear when you're going to cross the street. Yeah. Okay. But you don't need fear when you're going to walk in a room, because you're not going to get killed by walking in a room full of really successful people. In fact, you can kind of flip that to the other side of fear. I'll say the opposite of fear, which is confidence, which is courage, and saying, like, damn it, you know what? I'm going to think about all the great things I've done. I'm going to think about a few situations where I just nailed that moment, nailed that event, nailed that project. And it's okay to tell yourself, like, you know what, damn it, I'm pretty talented. And all these people in this room, like, they've done great things, but I have too. So I'm going to go in there, and I'm going to be confident. I'm going to be courageous, and I'm going to do whatever it takes to own this room and make a difference. Like, those type of pep talks, I think, will train your body, in your mind and your body, to just have a totally different energy, totally different presence, where people, like, they'll talk about you later and be like, wow, that Steve guy, like, pretty impressive. Like, not only did he have, like, huge guns, but wow, his energy and confidence and skills, like, I want to work with that guy. And it's all a mindset. It's all, you could feel when somebody's scared and has fear. You can also feel like when, damn it, they're confident and they want to, and they're going to make an impact in that room. And that's what people want to be around, right? That energy is contagious.
Yeah. It's funny. I always tell people, whatever you fear and focus on, that will manifest. So if you walk in a room and you're thinking, man, I don't deserve to be here, this is not going to, that's exactly your body language. People react to your body language. Whatever, you walk into a room and see two people arguing, they don't have to say a word. You can tell that there's an argument that just happened, and you're like, okay, let me back out of this room. And one of my coaches told me one time about when I was learning how to be a speaker. He said, Steve, he goes, they don't know what you're going to say until you open your mouth. So he goes, they have no idea if you are someone who is well accomplished or this is your first time on stage. He goes, until you open your mouth and you tell them, and they don't know what's coming next. So, people so focused on what they should say and all this stuff. It's like, that doesn't matter as much as how you carry yourself and how you present yourself, and focusing on that side of it. And I always thought that was an interesting way, because most people focus on the details and the analytics, as entrepreneurs do, right? The analysis paralysis. So many entrepreneurs get caught up in that side of it. They forget how to sell themselves. That if they don't sell who they are, and they don't market, and they don't become master communicators, I think that's where a lot of entrepreneurs fail. I don't think they fail. And one of my mentors taught me this term. It's called B times do equals half. And so it's, they'll say like, Steve, what do I have to do to have your life, to have this entrepreneurship? I'll do anything. I'll work 25 hours a day if that's what it takes. And what he explained to me, he said they're missing the first part, the B, the BE. They have to become a successful person before they actually are that successful person. They have to become a $5 million a year CEO before they ever break $10,000, because they don't know where they're going. And I mean, I think that entrepreneurs, and I'll be curious your opinion on where someone should start, but I think that's why a lot of entrepreneurs fail, is they're so busy being busy. They don't understand that they've got to plan the exit to the destination before they even get on the highway. And so they're so busy, creating this and being the chef in the kitchen. They never think about serving the actual plate and how the presentation is going to be to get paid. Excuse me. If you were a beginning entrepreneur, or someone came to you as a beginning entrepreneur, and they're like, Dave, just what do I do? Like, tell me what to do and I will follow that. What advice would you give someone, or you 20 years ago? What would you tell them now in this day and age, and with technology, COVID, all the other BS going on? How would you guide someone?
Yeah, I would say, what can you focus on that gives you energy? And how can you create a business around that? Because whatever gives you energy, you just want to do more of. Like, what do you love doing anyway? And how can you make money off that? And then, so once you decide what that is, they may say, well, I love working out. I love helping people working out. Great. Let's, become a personal trainer, and maybe you could create an online brand around that, and social media presence, and coach people, whatever, But if you love doing that anyway, great. Let's create a business around that. And then part two of that is, especially the first 3 to 4 years, you have to be like insanely obsessed with making that business work. You need to be, doing, depending on the business, maybe it's 100 sales calls a day, whatever. Like, you never have to do that again. Tony Robbins says, the plane uses like 70% of its fuel getting off the ground. And then when it's in the air, it doesn't use as much. Those 3 or 4 first years are you getting off the ground. Yeah. And you have to just pour out blood, sweat, tears for a good 3 or 4 years to get that momentum, right? The compound effect of all that work is going to pay off. We were talking about insurance people. Like, I know insurance people, they work their ass off for, 3, 4 years. And then for the next 10, 20, 30 years, they're golfing with their clients. They have renewals. They have a great base of, maybe 200 clients. And then they get to they still work, but they're not as hard as they did. So that's part two. So I say part one is find your niche by finding something that you love doing anyway. What gives you energy? Again, whatever gives you energy, you always want to do more of it. And then part two is you need to be obsessed with making that business work for at least 3 or 4 years to get that flywheel turning once and for all.
What would you change now that you know this, right? You have the holy grail of knowledge and what you should do. So going back, we all look back at our lives and go, yeah, now I'm a big believer that I think all of my failures, and I've had many, I'm sure as you have, I think those have defined my success. I don't know that I would change many of them, because I don't know that I would be here today talking to you as successful as I am had I not made those failures. So I kind of embrace them. I'm sure there's things I would change. I think I would fail faster and bigger, to be honest with you. But what things would you have changed if you could go back and talk to yourself way back when?
That's a great question. I think I'm with you, where I don't think I would have changed anything, because it has led me right up to this moment where, I'm 53 years old. I still have the vigor and the energy and the excitement of like when I was 25 with a brand new business.
And a full head of hair, by the way, a very nice head of hair. I'll jealously say that I do like the head.
I appreciate that. Yeah, I got the fro that won't go away, but I don't have your muscles though. So
well, you guys go to the gym. I can't grow anymore. So
yeah. So so I trust God's path. I trust God's journey. And so I don't know if I would have changed a thing, because I'm right here where I am, and I still feel, even like I said, even though I'm 53, I still feel like I'm just starting out. I think that's a good feeling. I still feel like a young kid that with so much to do and learn and accomplish. And I think that, if I was uber successful from day one and just continue to be that way with the same business, I'm not sure if I would still have this wide-eyed excitement about life that I have today.
Like the burning fire in your belly kind of that gets you up and gets you moving.
It's crazy. Yeah, I have to work out every morning just to burn myself off to some extent. Right. Yeah. I mean, otherwise I'm a freaking nutbag the whole day. Right. So
I get it, man. I get it. Well, look, Dave, I want to be respectful of your time. I know you're on the road. Any last words you want to tell, the listeners and followers, any advice you would give them, and then obviously how they can get a hold of you?
I would say advice I have is, we talked about some of the things I recommend they would do in the beginning, but part three of that, and I could, listening to you, I could tell you do it, is create a network of mentors. I joke that I have a secret mastermind alliance because I have people, on my mastermind alliance, they don't even know they're on, right? But these are people that I can call with advice and take out to lunch just to pick their brain. And these are some very successful people, like Tom Golisano started Paychecks, right? He's worth about, $5 billion. He's on my mastermind network. He doesn't know it, but I could call him. He picks up, we talk. Norm Brodsky, I talked to him the other day, who's a really successful entrepreneur and former columnist for Inc. magazine. So don't go at it alone. Create a network of mentors, coaches, support network. As an entrepreneur, I really think it's one of the top things you can do for your success, because it is a hard road, and your chances of doing it and doing it well, I think increase massive amounts if you surround yourself with people that can help you. As far as get in touch with me, my email is easy, david@davidmammano.com, Mammano. Friend me on LinkedIn, Facebook, any of that stuff. Heck, give me a call, 585-317-8254. I love helping other people, and I'm here for you.
Awesome. And we'll put everything in the show notes for anyone with links to all of your information. Dave, man, thanks so much. I really appreciate it. I know you're busy, and I want to be very respectful of your time. And I know you're out there helping a lot of people. And look, at the end of the day, as entrepreneurs, the only thing we have are fellow entrepreneurs and our vision, right? I mean, that's all it is. And so it's nice to talk to like-minded people and go, okay, I'm not freaking crazy. Like, okay, maybe I'm crazy, but at least there's other people out there like me. So at least we have some people to talk to. And I think that having that, as you said it very eloquently, having that mastermind, whether they know it or not, I don't care. The fact that you have the people, and again, that to me is a form of leverage. Using someone else's brain to figure out how to do something is a great form of leverage. What obviously it sounds like you're very well established at doing, and mentally understand that, lily pad hopping of knowledge. And that's awesome. And good luck with the Youtopia. I'm sure it's going to be amazing, just like everything else you've done. So Dave, thank you so much for being a guest today. I appreciate your time. And, again, I know that time is valuable, so I want to respect that. For those of you watching, thank you so much for another episode of High Stakes with Steve Rozenberg. Don't forget to like, share, comment. You know the drill. You know what to do. You can find us on YouTube, iTunes, all the other stuff. But again, we're just entrepreneurs trying to help other entrepreneurs grow, scale, and succeed. And you can only do it by sharing the knowledge, just like Dave does, just like I do. So everyone, thank you so much. And we will see you next week on High Stakes with Steve Rozenberg. We'll talk to you guys later. Bye-bye.